I was drowning in noise. Outside, cars honked, rain tapped the window and my mind raced, but she just sat there, still quiet, glowing in a golden sunbeam. Her eyes met mine, and in her silence I found the me I'd lost. She never begged for my love, she offered hers gently and patiently, a quiet presence never demanding. When she leaned into me it felt like a gift, one I didn't know I needed until it was there. While the world screamed hurry, she sat still. Birds darted by, clouds raced overhead, and still she didn't flinch. Her whiskers twitched softly in the breeze. In that pause I saw a power I'd forgotten, proof that grace often lives in the quiet. She leapt rooftops, disappeared into moonlight, and yet always returned. She didn't drift from me, she danced to her own heartbeat. And in watching her, I learned that independence isn't isolation. It's knowing how to leave and how to come back. When I reached for her too eagerly, she stepped away, but later she curled beside me, purring like forgiveness. She taught me that boundaries don't push love away. They give it space to breathe and grow. She saw my sadness and never asked why. She blinked slowly, curled closer, and stayed. Her eyes didn't judge, they understood. That was when I realized, healing begins when we are simply seen. Phones buzzed, dishes clattered, deadlines loomed, but there she was, curled in a sunbeam, resting like she owned time. She wasn't quitting, she was recharging. Each movement was poetry, a stretch in the sun, a leap to the table, a soft landing like a sigh. She moved with presence, not performance, and in that she taught me that elegance comes from intention, not perfection. A paper bag, a shadow, a rustle under the bed, she chased wonder like it was her job. Watching her reminded me that curiosity isn't just about learning, it's about living with your eyes wide open. She sat at the window, tail still, eyes fixed on something far away. The room was silent, except for the ticking clock. Yet, that silence said everything. Some truths, she reminded me, don't need words. Only the heart can hear them. She never clung. She simply chose to be near. On days when I felt alone, she was there, not to own me but to share space with me. Her love was free, never forced. She showed me that true connection never cages, it liberates. Her purr touched my hand like rain on dry earth, soft, steady, healing, no words, no advice, just warmth. She healed the way only nature knows how, with quiet, with patience, with love that asked nothing in return. One day she stood in the doorway, light pouring around her. She looked back once, then stepped forward. No drama, no fear, just silence. And a shadow I'll always carry. She left softly, but her presence still echoes in my stillness. She didn't fix me, she didn't rush me, she just stayed. Her presence, quiet, constant, was the safest place I never asked for. In her stillness I rebuilt slowly, without pressure, only love. A brush of fur against my leg, a soft blink from across the room. She taught me that comfort isn't loud, it's found in the small, unnoticed gestures that say, I see you, I'm here. She gave no part of herself away carelessly. When she curled beside me, it meant something. She taught me not to give time to everyone, but to those who make silence feel full. It took months before she sat in my lap, but when she did, it meant more than any 1,000 words. She reminded me, trust isn't something you take, it's a gift, quietly given. She never needed my story. One glance and she knew when to come close and when to let me breathe. Her silence didn't just speak, it listened. She never tried to impress. She didn't chase approval. Yet, in her calm presence, the room felt warmer. She taught me that sometimes being yourself is the most generous thing you can offer. She would stop mid-step, mid-stretch, and simply listen. Not to respond, not to act, just to notice. That pause became my own. It slowed me down, made me feel alive again. She didn't care if I was quiet or loud, happy or falling apart. She came when I needed her most, and sometimes when I didn't even know I did. That kind of love, it's rare and unforgettable. She never clung. When it was time to rest, she rested. When it was time to move on, she moved. She reminded me, holding on too tightly breaks the thing we love most. She could sit for hours, unmoved, untouched by urgency. Her stillness wasn't laziness, it was wisdom. She lived by one unspoken truth: peace is something you make, not something you chase. She didn't interrupt my thoughts, she softened them. In her silence I found space to feel what I was afraid to face. Her presence was my permission to fall apart, gently. She never needed more. A window, a warm floor, a single beam of light. She lived with less, but loved like she had everything. She reminded me, simplicity is not emptiness, it's freedom. She came back to me every morning, not out of habit, but of choice. Every day she decided I was worth her time, her quiet, her trust. And in that, I learned how powerful it is to be chosen. She didn't rush. Her pause moved with thought, her eyes with purpose. She waited until it felt right, never too soon, never too late. And she taught me, patience isn't about waiting, it's about knowing. No words, no instructions, just soft glances and gentle movements that calmed storms I hadn't named. She didn't lead me anywhere, she simply sat beside me while I found my way. She didn't vanish, she became part of everything quiet. Now when I sit alone, I feel her in the stillness. Not gone, just transformed into a memory that breathes softly beside me. She taught without words, she healed without hands, she left without sound. But her lessons live in every calm breath I take. She was not just a pet, she was a presence, a teacher, a quiet miracle. Some souls don't speak, but they teach you everything worth hearing. Subscribe to Growth with Nature for more lessons from the quietest teachers in life, and share this with someone who still misses the silence they left behind.